Hey, I'm Dr. Jill Weiner. I get a lot of questions from my tapping clients. I'm an EFT tapping practitioner, or people in general. Like tapping is really easy and it can be very easy to do once you understand the basics. But to people who don't know anything about it, it can look kind of confusing because you're tapping on your hands and your face and you're saying things out loud. And there's a couple separate components of the tapping sequence that can sometimes confuse people. So the first one is called the setup statement. And the second part is the rest of the tapping sequence. And so what I'm going to talk about today is what is a setup statement, how is it used, and how can you make one? So the setup statement is the thing you say at the beginning of your tapping sequence when you're tapping on a new topic or a new emotion. And you tap on the side of your hand here. You can see here. I like to use all four fingers here. You can also tap like that if you want to. That taps on both hands at the same time. And you say something like, even though and then you fill in the blank with your problem that you're tapping on. And then you say something like, I love and accept myself, or I accept and forgive myself, or I'm open to loving and accepting myself, or I'm a really good person. We like to say, I love and accept myself. It's kind of aspirational. It's kind of putting that wish out there, even if you don't love and accept yourself yet. But if it feels like too activating, if it's too much to say that, if that's going to make you have like a stress reaction just saying I love and accept myself, which it might be that way because it's hard for us to say that sometimes about ourselves, to allow ourselves to feel that, then don't say I love and accept myself. You can say whatever feels comfortable. Something really, really like kind of safe would be, and I'm a good person, or something like that. You don't have to believe that either, but that's a little bit less extreme or intense than I love and accept myself. So we start with even though, we fill in the middle with whatever it is that we're tapping on, and we end with I love and accept myself. And we do that 2 or 3 times, generally repeating the same words each time, but it's okay if you change it up a little bit. So if my example is always having anxiety about a presentation that needs to be for work the next day. So I would say, I would talk about that. And then also can be helpful as we tap, we talk about the intensity. We measure the intensity of what we're tapping on, from 0 being no intensity to 10 being the most intense possible. So you can add in the intensity of what you're feeling. And if you connect to where you feel that emotion or that stress in your body, you can also add that into your setup statement. So it would be something like this. Even though I'm anxious about the presentation I have to give for work tomorrow, I love and accept myself. Or you could throw in, as I mentioned, the intensity of it and where you feel it. Even though I have the 7 out of 10 anxiety that I feel in my chest about the presentation I have to give for work tomorrow, I love and accept myself, or I accept and forgive myself. However you want to say that at the end. So those are the basics of a setup statement, that even though the thing that you're tapping on, adding in plus or minus the intensity of what you're tapping on, plus or minus where you're feeling it in your body, and then some sort of affirming statement at the end of it. Goals would be, I love and accept myself. But of course, if that doesn't feel okay for you, you can try something else. And it's also okay if it's a little bit not okay for you. If it feels like a little bit of a stretch, I encourage you to go for it. If it feels like way too much, then I encourage you to come up with something that does feel a little safer for you to say. And then after you do the setup statement, you go into the rest of the tapping sequence. You want to do a new setup statement anytime you're tapping on something new. So if you're tapping on your anxiety, and your anxiety goes from a 7 to a 4, but you're still tapping on the anxiety and nothing new has come up, you can just start right back in with the rest of the tapping sequence. You don't have to start over at the beginning. But if you're tapping on anxiety and all of a sudden you get really sad and you want to start tapping on that sadness, then you want to start again with, even though I'm feeling this 8 out of 10 sadness about whatever it is that you're sad about, I love and accept myself, then you start over. So anytime you're starting with a new concept, a new emotion, a new topic, you're going to want to do a new setup statement. I hope you found that helpful. I am leading a tapping training coming up to teach you more about about tapping, and also to help you teach other people how to tap. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check it out, jillweiner.com/tapping training. Thanks so much.